I'm going to take you now all to Sweden, if you can join me at that fireside. And this is with Josephine Lundström from Vinnova, who you all met today, and Diana Velasco from TIPC's coordinating partner in Henio. So Josephine works as an analyst at Vinnova, and she manages the different TIPC related activities that the agency is involved in. Since the beginning of the year, she's worked intensively on the collaborative TIPC Vinnova project, which you heard about today, around formative evaluation of Vinnova's mission-orientated activities. And you all probably know Diana as well, but I shall introduce her. She is a research fellow at Ingenio and part of the TIPC research team, working on experimental policy engagement with Vinnova. She has been developing different strategies to record and enhance learning in the experiments. So welcome to Josephine and Diana. We're going to hear from them about how co-creation is inherently difficult, and we all know this, but they're going to share with us how you can move through crisis points and use them to crucially advance towards second order learning and to new understanding. So Josephine and Diana, if I can take you into your moment of crisis and join you for your fireside chat.
Thank you, Geraldine. So hi, Josephine.
Hi, Diana.
How are you feeling after the session today?
Yeah, I was sitting here, you know, trying really to get into the mode that Geraldine was describing so vividly in the beginning of this fireside chat session, and I felt, you know, I feel quite relaxed at the moment, and you know, almost a bit relieved, I could say, because, you know, there were a lot of different sessions today. We were a lot of people who had worked quite a lot on preparing them. There was a lot of like interesting things to bring out. So, and I think it's an experiment to all of us to do this in a digital setting, right? But I think it worked really well. So I'm quite happy. And now I'm just like Geraldine said, I've really chosen a very different context or a different space than previously today, because now I'm in my bedroom, feeling very cozy at the moment. So I'm good. How about you, Diana? How are you after today?
Well, I relate to your feelings, but I would add that I'm also feeling jealous of the real firesides of Kelly and Joanna, who are listening to his fireside talks. And I would say that I'm experiencing an invigorating tiredness. Indeed, it's been a meaningful and good session, the one that we've had today. So I feel kind of happy and relaxed as well. So, Josephine, we have engaged in a co-creation process with Vinnova from February. Could you sum up in a few sentences the work that we have done together?
Yes, so well, everyone who was in the sessions today, they know, because we did talk about this quite a lot. But for everyone who wasn't there, I would say that we have engaged in a project now for a few months, since February, where we are trying, Vinnova, a bunch of program managers and a bunch of TIPC researchers. We're trying to link theory and practice, and with the ultimate goal of contributing to transformative change, or to enhance the possibilities of contributing to transformative change that is needed for a sustainable future. Well, connected to the theme of this evening, well, in the theme of collaborating between researchers and practitioners, you could also put it in the way that we're group of passionate individuals who happen to be researchers and who happen to, well, be practitioners at an innovation agency, who all come from, we're trying to work together despite, or well, because we come from different backgrounds with different assumptions, different viewpoints, and we even come from different countries. We speak different first languages. So I would say that this journey, what we've been doing together, we're exploring transformative innovation policy, but we're also, we've also had to focus maybe more than we had anticipated on overcoming barriers and speaking about our differences, as well as what we have in common. Yeah.
Kind of following up on the last part that you mentioned, and yeah, I mean, co-creation and learning sounds fantastic. We've been talking a lot about it today, and doing it in a multicultural and digital and multidisciplinary background sounds even better. But it hasn't indeed been a bed of roses. So what has surprised you so far in this process?
Yeah, well, when we talked about this previous to this discussion, and I, I admitted that, well, I didn't anticipate this to be easy. I never did, because I know, or I guess we all assume that this won't be that easy, right? To work together. It's never that easy to collaborate, really, when you come from different organizations and you're all super, busy and all of that. So I did expect this to be, it wasn't a surprise that it's been complex and challenging, this project. But I guess I did not expect, or I did not anticipate the level of frustration that we felt at some points during the spring. And I didn't expect the amount of personal commitment that I would need and gradually want to put into it. Because as you say, yeah, it has absolutely, it has been a quite rocky road, or like a struggling, quite a struggle from time to time. And it still is. We're still, struggling in all our interactions. But I think as we have gradually managed to get through our challenges and come to experience that our efforts have been rewarding in terms of progress, in terms of learning. I think the more I have enjoyed it, really, I enjoyed this project, and the more you work on it, the more you want to be part of it. So it's almost as it is, it becomes a little addictive, almost, I would say, at this point. And I know my colleagues sort of feel the same at Vinnova. We're all having different roles in the project, but we're all, we're agreeing on the fact that, well, at this point, we would miss you guys if we would stop now. So there has certainly been like a development of some sort of personal engagement for all of us, I think, on the Vinnova side, partly because it has been so challenging in the project.
So I totally relate to that as well. Challenging but rewarding, I would say, and like going to the rocky road that we've followed so far in some phases of our engagement, and relating also to the metaphor that our colleagues before us, Elizabeth, Per, and Carla, related to getting lost. We indeed felt lost and frustrated at some point. I think that from both sides, we felt that the approach that we were taking was not working, and I think that we felt that we were losing track, kind of, and that is what we call now in our group, like the crisis, this crisis, So, but at the end of this process, and like I would say, like by the end of summer, we managed to bring ourselves back from the cliff by being open and talking frankly about what happened. So from your perspective, what did it take for us to manage that? And what do you think were the most important actions that we took?
Yeah, well, the crisis back in April, maybe, or whenever it was indeed like a defining moment, I think, and not least for me personally, because it was in this moment where we felt that, okay, yeah, well, something here is, we're all getting too frustrated here on a sort of emotional level. What are we doing really? What is the purpose? I realized, that was, I think, when I realized that I needed to sort of step up my efforts a little bit, because we've been talking about today in the sessions, we've been talking about the need for a facilitator, about someone, an intermediary, and I am super glad that you have, and Sandra particularly, she spoke very warmly about my efforts. So and it makes me super happy. But this was nothing that we had really decided beforehand, and I think I didn't really expect to play that role as much as then I might have. But I think it was in the moment where we all felt that, you could just feel the frustration, and we were, all of us as individuals were feeling that, I think. And I realized, I said, that something needs to be done. And so we were, well, several of us, really, not only me, not at all, but rather, actually, it was on your side. I think you and Sandra chose to sort of have a more of a less formal, just can we just stay a little bit in this session and just have a chat. And we were just like very openly like asking each other, like, what is happening now? Like, why are we all getting super frustrated here? We all want the same thing, right? Why is it getting so heated? And I think the fact that we did this, that we opened up and we chose to confront this situation that we didn't really know why it happened or where it came from. I think the fact that we chose to do this in this way was, well, that was the key for continuing, because I think we recognized and we admitted that we had challenges, and after this we started talking in this project in a very open way, and I think it was in this moment we really realized also that we're all here human beings, right? We're not researchers and practitioners. We're all individuals who struggle in this together. And well, I remember this analogy that came up. I think I can't remember who was putting it out there, but we were talking about the fact that it felt a little bit as if we were all in an arranged marriage, and we could sort of all relate to this, I think, because we all felt that, well, here is a marriage and we are the ones who are in it together. How to do this, really. And the fact just that we could all sort of relate to that made us, well, laugh a little bit. And then that also made us, well, again, it made us realize that, okay, we're not, there are no artificial construct here as like two organizations collaborating or practitioners and researchers, but we're actually humans, all of us, and let's do something about this. So yes, the crisis was, I wouldn't say that it was inevitable, because we could have done things differently beforehand, but when it happened, it would probably happen at some point, in some way at least, this type of peak struggle, and it made things a lot easier afterwards because we went through it.
Kind of when we realized what was happening, and we had an open talk and then discussed a little bit further why we couldn't get a mutual understanding and why the different ways of designing policy, innovation policy, were not coming together, was when we started to talk about, well, this is important, this is a lesson, and how can we record this learning that we're having so far. And that's when you, Josephine, Sandra, me, and the rest of the team started to talk about tools to record this learning. And then we came up with this tool that we call the dynamic reflexive pinnacle, because obviously it needs to sound very complicated, kind of sophisticated, of course. But at the end of the day, it's basically a diary that we are using to track the learning in our group. And we are doing it, you, Sandra, and me as a pilot, to record kind of the changes in knowledge, the changes in attitudes, the changes in the interactions that we've had through the process. So taking that as a base, because we've engaged in that, how would you frame your learning from this experience?
Well, first of all, I would say that it's been completely necessary to have these types of more, well, our collaborative reflections and the tools that we've created and the sort of, well, structure, well, to have an outspoken way or an aim to collectively reflect has been super important for us to go through challenges and so on. And I think, well, I think what because we're still, you know, we're still getting towards the core aim of the project. So we're still getting towards the evaluation and we're not really there yet. And I think that's also why we have focused a lot so far, and a lot earlier today when we've been telling about the project, we have focused a lot on the journey, on the process, on what it takes to create trust, etc. Because that has been what we have had to focus on so far. And I think my main learnings and so far they are very much about what does it take to be in a project like this in terms of attitudes, in terms of interactions, and so on. And I think, and not because now also time is short and it's hard to sort of like go through it all, but I think one thing that is, I think it's important to emphasize it. It is what it takes, like socially, commitment-wise, power-wise, to collaborate, to co-create, because co-creation and collaboration is something that we that is generally seen as a key to change, right? We're talking about innovation partnership programs or collaborations and co-creative processes as if, you know, yeah, that's just something that should happen. But I think it's important to go back when working together like that on what it takes to create the necessary conditions, the necessary foundation for those types of work methods. And I think it doesn't only go for our project here, it goes for a lot of a lot of different activities that Vinnova is involved in different contexts. We're all supposed to collaborate with different organizations. But you sort of tend to underestimate what it takes in terms of what types of efforts it takes to really get to a place where it gets fruitful. So I think that's why I think it's very important to emphasize the need to recognize roles, recognize social dynamic, and well, what affects those things. I think.
Thank you, Josephine, and I hand on to Geraldine. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a very candid, very interesting, open discussion. And I think the passion and the commitment for the project came across, as well as the frustrations, that when you feel that passion and commitment, the frustrations are going to be equal to that. So it showed the openness that was needed within the group, the new skills that you found yourself pulling upon to take you past the point of crisis, to produce the tool that would help with the situation, and to bond the group. And it was enthralling to hear that actually transformation can become addictive. And I think you articulated the complexities in a very interesting manner.